Hey guys, glad to have you back again. A couple things before we get started with the Rumblefish, Chapter 4. Make sure that every day before 9:30 you're going in and doing, or 9 o'clock, excuse me, you're going in and doing your reading journal for your RLA reading class. That's how we're getting the daily attendance, official attendance for the school. Now, you still have to attend your other classes. You still have to go into every one of them, log into every class, find out what assignments you have. Just like with mine, every day you have question of the day. Every day that's 20 points towards your participation grade for the week. Guys, you answer the question, even if you get it wrong, it's 20 points for having done it that day before 4 p.m. for my class. Other classes, you may have other work that needs to be done. Make sure that you're going to tutorials if you're not understanding things. If you don't understand how to get around in part of your lessons, like with Google Forms, ask me. Whether it's my class or not, I'll try and help you. If it's another teacher's class, ask them. We're here to help you. We will be glad to. We have tutorials set up. Each teacher has their schedule posted. Or we have other times during the day where we may be able to meet with you. So make sure you're doing that. Make sure that you're keeping in contact. If you're having trouble, ask for help. Remember, you may not be able to do it yet, but you're going to be able to. I got a couple of ladies like in my first period class who right now they're saying I never had 100 for a report card yet, but they're working on it right now, and I'm really proud of them. Okay, so Rumblefish. I hope you guys are enjoying the story. I hope you like what's going on with Rusty James, and you're seeing that life isn't, in a storybook even, isn't always good. Now, let me know if I'm just wasting my time or if you're enjoying my reading the story to you. Also, if you want to read the story on your own so you can go ahead of me, or you want to go back to catch something that you might have missed, send me an email, send me a message through Google Classroom, however you want to, and say, Mr. Foreman, I'd like a copy of Rumblefish. We had 50 copies sent to us by people, just because I told them I wanted to teach this to my kids this year. And people think it's such a great book, they sent us 50 copies. I want to get them to you. Let me know. I'll get them into the front office with your name on them. I'll tell you when to pick them up. I can only give them out to the first 45 people or so because I've got a few other teachers who are reading it right now too. Anyway, let me know what you think of it, how you like it. If there's other books that you want, let me know. I'll see if I can get it for you. So, Chapter 4 of Rumblefish. Let me get it. I went to school the next day. I wasn't feeling too hot and I was bleeding off and on, but I usually go to school if I can. See all my friends at school. I got there late and had to go get a late pass and ended up missing math. So I didn't know Steve was absent until lunch and he didn't show up. I asked around about him. Jeannie Martin told me he didn't come to school because his mother had a stroke or something. I worried about that a while. I hoped it wasn't him sneaking out of the house that gave her the stroke. His parents were kind of weird. They never let him do anything. Jeannie Martin wasn't too thrilled to talk to me. She liked Steve. Poor kid. He wouldn't believe that her tipping over his chair in English meant she liked him. He was still funny about girls. And him 14, too. Anyway, she liked him and didn't like me because she thought I'd turn him into a hood. Fat chance. I'd known him since I don't remember when. Nobody thought he was a hood. Try and tell her that. So I went to the basement and played poker with BJ and Smokey and lost 50 cents. You guys must cheat, I told them. I can't have rotten luck all the time. BJ grinned at me and said, Nah, you're just a lousy poker player, Rusty James. I ain't either. Yeah, you are. Every time you get a good hand, we can tell it. Every time you get a bad hand, we can tell it. You ain't going to earn your living gambling, man. Don't give me that. Them cards was marked. I knew they weren't, but I didn't believe that garbage BJ was giving me. He just wanted to crow about winning. In gym, I just stood around watching the basketball practice. I wasn't about to do any basketball. Coach Ryan finally asked me why, and I said I didn't feel like it. I thought I could leave it at that. Coach Ryan was all the time trying to be friends with me. He let me get away with murder. It was like he'd be a big shot at being friends with me, like he owned a vicious dog or something. Rusty James, he said, after looking around, making sure nobody could hear us. Want to earn a quick $5? I just looked at him. You never know. Price has been giving me a lot of trouble these days. Yeah, I said. Don Price was a smart aleck, real mouthy. I'm mouthy too, but I don't mean nothing by it. He was mouthy just to get on people's nerves. A real obnoxious kid. I'll give you $5 to beat him up. Well, that would have been simple enough. I knew where the guy lived. I could jump him some afternoon. With my rep, nobody'd think to ask why. He was just the kind of jerk I'd like to beat up. About 6 months before, a guy had offered the motorcycle boy $400 to kill somebody. That is the truth. He didn't take it. Said whenever he killed somebody, it wouldn't be for money. I can't fight for a while, I said. I jerked up my gym shirt to show him why. Hey, man! There he was, 30 years old, saying, hey, man! He wasn't brought up talking like that either. You been to the nurse? Nope. Pulled my shirt back down. Ain't gonna either. Well, he said slowly, let me know when you're healed up. Sure thing, I said, and went back to watching practice. He must have thought I needed money real bad. English was my last class. I liked it because our teacher thought we were so stupid that all she had to do was read us stories. That was all right with me. By the end of the day, I was ready to sit still a while anyway. She didn't have any way of knowing if we were listening. Sometimes she'd give us a test at the end of class, but I could always copy off somebody if anybody knew the answers. I'm always in dumb classes. In grade school, they start separating dumb people from smart people, and it only takes you a couple of years to figure out which one you are. I guess it's easier on teachers that way, but I think I might like to get into a class with some different people sometimes instead of the same old dummies every year. Steve was in my math class this year only because he had a choice of new math or business math, and he took business math. All the other smart people took new math, but he wasn't crazy about numbers. I've been going to the same school with him since kindergarten. This was the first year we were in a class together. I wondered if he got tired of seeing the same old smart people every day. I sat there and didn't listen and thought maybe I'd go by and see Patty after school. If I hadn't lost that 50 cents at lunchtime, I could have bribed her brothers to go to the park or something. Smokey must have been cheating. I ain't that bad a player. When I went by her house, though, her mother's car was still there. Maybe it was her day off. I never could keep them straight. Her mother wasn't crazy about me. I think the brothers sometimes squealed on Patty. Man, I want to knock their blocks off. So I went to Benny's and shot a game of pool by myself. There were other people there, but nobody playing pool. Everybody who came in wanted to see my knife cut. They thought it was cool. Steve came by after an hour. I could tell he wasn't in the mood to hang around Benny's. He just wanted some company, so I left with him. How's your old lady? I asked him after we'd walked a couple blocks. Real sick. He had a funny white look on his face. She's in the hospital. It wasn't you sneaking out that did it? He looked at me like I was off my rocker. Then he remembered and said, no, it wasn't that. He didn't say anything else, so I started telling him how Coach Ryan had asked me to beat up a guy. Only I said he offered me $50 to do it. And I said I was really thinking about it. But even then, that didn't seem to shake him out of it. He just said, yeah? Like he was somewhere else. I was needing some money. My old man, he got a regular check from the government. He had to go down and sign for it, but it wasn't very much, and sometimes he'd forget to give me some of it before he drank it up. I did a lot of scrounging around. Once in a while, I'd borrow money from the motorcycle boy, but I had to be really careful and pay it back. I don't know why I was so careful about that. One time he gave me a $100 bill because he said he didn't want it. I don't know where he got it. Since he didn't want it, I didn't worry about paying that back. Most of the time I paid him back, though. So when I spotted a set of real cool simulated bags on a late model Chevy, I saw a quick way to make $20. $20 would last me a good long while. The car was sitting there in front of an apartment house, but nobody was around. I had 3 of the hubcaps off and was working on the 4th one when Steve said, "What are you doing?" Like an idiot. I had handed him those 3 hubcaps and he was standing there asking me what I was doing. I had to work a little harder on the 4th and was getting nervous, so I said, "Shut up. You know I don't steal things." "You know I do," I answered. Finally, it came off. Just then, 3 guys came shooting out of the apartment house, hollering at us. I took 2 running steps and saw Steve just standing there, so I had to waste some breath screaming, "Move it!" before he woke up and ran. About 2 blocks later, he realized he was still carrying the hubcaps and threw them down, the dummy. That wasn't going to stop those guys. They had been swearing at us, but were saving their breath. One stopped to get the hubcaps. I figured one wouldn't do me any good and threw mine away a block later. That stopped another one. The 3rd guy kept on after us. Steve was keeping up better than I thought he would, but my side was killing me. I turned down an alley and cut across the fence. Steve followed with a desperate look on his face that made me want to laugh. The fence slowed down that guy who was chasing us, but it didn't stop him. Man, he was out for blood. I ran into an apartment house and shot up the stairs, got to the top, and ran out onto the roof. It was a good-sized jump to the next roof, but I made it easy. I was tearing off across it for the next one when I noticed Steve wasn't with me. He had stopped at the gap between the roofs. He was almost doubled over from trying to catch his breath. "Come on," I said. I wasn't sure we had lost that guy. "I can't make it." "Yeah, you can. Come on." Steve just shook his head. I told him what would happen if he got caught. I made it sound worse than falling off the roof. Anyway, it was only 2 floors up. I dropped off a 2-story roof before and only broke my ankle. I did it on a dare. "Come on," I said. "I'll catch you." Steve looked back at the door, then down at the alley, backed up a few feet, and jumped. He didn't know how to do it right at all. But for some reason, he made it, landing across his belly on the ledge. He was so surprised he made it that he forgot to hang on and just slipped down. He would have gone all the way down if I hadn't caught his wrist. He hung there, hauling his head off, till I said, "If you don't shut up, I'll drop you." I wasn't threatening him. I was just telling him the truth. I kept trying to haul him up, but it wasn't easy. I was hurting pretty bad, too. "And don't look at me like a rabbit, neither," I panted. He was trying to get a toehold on the wall. He worked so hard to change the expression on his face so he wouldn't look like a rabbit that it almost made me laugh and drop him. Finally, he climbed and clawed his way on up. We just sat there trying to breathe again. I kept listening for that guy who was chasing us. Finally, I figured we'd lost him. "I guess we didn't need to do that," I said. "He ain't coming up here." I didn't notice till then that Steve was shaking pretty bad. "We didn't need to do that, huh?" he said. He really swore at me. I just sat there and tried not to laugh. "You shouldn't have thrown them hubcaps away," I said. "I could have got $20 for them." "You were stealing them," he said. He looked like he was really telling me something new. "So what? They stole them from somebody else. That isn't any reason." I started to answer him, then thought, why bother? We'd had this argument before. "You all right?" he asked. I said no and passed out cold. With all that running and jumping around and bleeding and not eating anything that day, I was in pretty bad shape. I wasn't out too long, just long enough for Steve to scare Steve into looking for some help. So when I came to, I was laying there on the roof by myself. I fixed that up as soon as possible, almost running to the roof door. I bumped into Steve and some old lady he'd talked into coming to help. I don't know what the hell he thought she should do. I said, "Let's go," and got out of there. That lady was real unhappy about being dragged up there. I was so mad at Steve for going off and leaving me that it took me about 3 blocks of fast walking to see that he was crying. That scared the hell out of me. I'd never seen anybody but girls cry, and I couldn't ever remember doing it myself. "What's with you?" I asked him. "Just shut up," he said. "Just shut the hell up." Now, that wasn't like him at all. I decided he must still be worrying about his mother. I couldn't remember mine, so didn't know how he felt. That's it for chapter 4, guys. Do the questions and give you some more to work on tomorrow. Don't forget, we have our tutorials Now, Thursday, I will not have tutorials during the morning, and our afternoon classes will be a little bit weird because I've got testing again. Other than that, guys, contact me if you need help. Come to tutorials, 8 a.m. to 8:25. Come to your class period. It's on this Google Stream with the hook, with the link to our Hangout. If you need more help and you can't get to me during our regular tutorials, send me an email. After 3:30 and between 3:15 and 4:15, I can meet with you guys. Let me know. See you soon.